Hi everyone, my name is Marcia Bailey. I am 28 years old and I'm a Fontan survivor. My official diagnosis is double inlet left ventricle. Today I want to talk about the topic of transition. Of course, everyone goes through changes throughout their life. You can't really avoid that. But for a congenital heart defect patient, there almost seems to be two categories of transition. There's a transition that we see in the doctor's office with the doctors that we see, the hospital that we go to. And then there's also the transitions in our everyday lives. A simple example of the everyday life one would actually take me back to grade school. I remember in grade school, everyone just kind of wanted to play kickball at recess. And it wasn't anything, too difficult to do. And it also doubled as our gym class. So I remember that there was not much difference between my performance versus my peers. But that quickly changed whenever we reached junior high. They introduced the physical fitness, so there was the mile and the 50-yard dash, all those different activities. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to be able to keep up with my peers as well as I had previously. There was no way that my performance matched what they had on the fancy little chart. That it was supposed to be, a girl this age, this weight, this height. There was no way that I was keeping up with that. I pride myself in the fact that I finished and that I participated as best as I could. But it was one of the first times I remember feeling actually separated from my peers. Another example, girls especially, whenever they're in adolescence, they're very critical of their bodies. And I remember the prom gown. The junior year, everyone wants to have the perfect prom gown. It's supposed to be the perfect night. And I just remember getting a dress, and I really liked the color of it, but I wasn't sure about it because you could see my scar. That was probably, for a lot of my peers, the first time that they'd ever seen my scar. Now, I don't remember anyone being rude about it, so I was fortunate in that manner. But it was definitely different, and it was a transition to be more open about my condition and to be able to answer people's questions if they ask. Another transition that happened about that same time was that the guidance counselors always wanted juniors and seniors to stop by their office and discuss their future plans. Now, I remember some of my friends, whether they were serious or not, they said that they were going to move out to the West Coast. They were going to find themselves, but in order to do that, they were going to do something kind of extravagant or, crazy. They wanted to just start over and move thousands of miles away. And I remember thinking, that's probably a little easier for them than what it would ever be for me. I have my doctors and my team, they're all right here, and I don't think that would be very wise. If I had moved and been so far away from their care, I'd have the yearly appointments or even 6-month appointments, and just in case there was ever an emergency situation, it's very wise of me to stay close to them. That way, they know the care that I need the best. As far as another transition was going into the workforce, in high school or, any school for that matter. If you didn't feel well a day, like a lot of congenital heart defect patients can relate to this, but some days we just feel extremely tired. You hear it all the time that someone's tired, but I'm not sure. There might be a whole other degree to the tiredness that we experience sometimes. And when you enter the workforce, of course, you have the attendance policies to comply with, and it can be a challenging transition to go from the school where it was kind of okay if you had a day off to pushing yourself that way you can be at work as much as possible. As far as transitions in the doctor's office setting, for years I've been going to a pediatric cardiologist. Now it's a little different whenever you walk in the waiting room and you see Barney and very child-related things, and you're sitting there as an adult. It can be kind of awkward. And, it does thrill me that they're starting to educate the adult cardiologists. That way they can better know about the congenital heart defect patients. But, yeah, it's definitely trying sometimes to be an adult CHD patient. A couple years back, I was discussing marriage and also the possibility of pregnancy, and it was just something that a congenital heart defect patient, growing up, it wasn't something that was in our mind all the time, but we've reached adulthood now, and these are questions that we need to ask, so the cardiologists need to be equipped to help us with that as well. So yeah, it has definitely come a long way, but I just feel that some of the transitions, they're definitely something that the general public isn't aware of, and also I just, want people to know that they're not alone. So thank you for listening.